It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Tonight, let us make them remember we are not afraid!
Yeah. No fear here and Declare Your Independence. Me, Ernest Hancock, and our very good friend, Jay Noone from New Hampshire. What we're going to be talking about is silver and gold. What we're going to do is we're going down to Acapulco. We're leaving Saturday. We'll be down there for a week. And it's in Puerto Vallarta this year. And Jay's been a regular speaker as well on what he's doing. And one thing we know is a guy named Silver Dave. Now, Silver Dave he's also a special forces, and he has gun church, and he does a lot of training. And they have a shooting range out on Jay's land out there, and he rents a space, from Jay, and been known Silver Dave for a long time. And he goes by Silver Dave because he's always dealing in silver. He's been a silver guy, and he opened a shop near Weir, New Hampshire, and it is just packed with silver. And he got shipping containers. He created his own mint. He hired security. You're not, you can't check in or out without, getting the anal probe. But he has actual melting of real silver. He rolls it into strips. He does punches on it. So it's its own local, being recognized silver mint. And in the Free State Project, in the Liberty community, this is something that is great, that we have our own silver mint from someone that has proved himself as part of the community, and everybody knows Silver Dave. Now, Dave is great friends, along with Jay, and Jay's been very supportive of his mission, lets him do whatever. But Jay is going to go down to Acapulco, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, this coming week, so we get to see Jay and say, yo, what's up? And he's going to help promote what he's doing with the silver. Now, I've got a lot of, a substantial portion of my wealth, which, such as it is from Dave. And he has made his own mint, and now he's doing 10th ounces. Now, that is, you need some spending money. Well, a lot of the events in New Hampshire, Pork Fest, Fork Fest, we'll talk, about that maybe a little bit. Silver's a trading thing. Now, we built a silver calculator app, the first one ever back in the day, and you could do whatever you wanted with silver, and you knew how much it was worth. Well, now it's gone stupid, and, it's silver. And they got a program that we're going to talk about, investing in silver to go into production. I have no idea what they're advocating, but I trust Dave and Jay, and they're doing it. We're going to do something because we're doing it. You want to see more of the things that you want to see more of, and you invest in it. So that's what we're doing. So we're going to talk about that. Welcome to the show, my very, 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 very good friend, Jay Noone. And in the background, his son, Cash, and Casacious, hey, Cash. And then that's a new dog. I haven't seen that dog, have I?
Oh yeah, that's Charlie. She's like 6 or 7 months old. She's actually a cowboy corgi, which is healer and corgi. So she's like 3/4 Australian healer and 1/4 corgi. My brother gave her to me. He had a litter of 10, and that was the last one that he didn't sell. So he gave the dog to us, and so she's been a pretty good dog. And her and Cash, they're about the same brain development, a few months ago. Just play, play, play is like their agenda. Them two, so they're real good buds, and they wrestle and play all the time.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It is. The dog's a lot of fun. We got the right acreage for it, and hey, guys, quiet. And so yeah, there's a lot going on around here, but
yeah, boy and his dog. Okay, now there's a lot for us to talk about, and I want to make sure we get the plan here with Silver Dave. Now, over at Fractional Silver Bullion, and being able to look at the websites here, Donna has put up that he is doing different denominations of silver. He's got, now there's the rounds at 10th ounces. Now I remember back when, what was it? Silver Circle was a animation that they had built and done about silver, and in promotion they had 10th ounces, and I got a bunch of those still, and those are cool 10th ounces. And I just ordered from our friend Tim Fry the Roberts at the top left of Freedom's Phoenix. You see the ad there. I had just gotten I don't know, what do you call them, $10 bag or something. It's just dimes and quarters. It's just silver dimes and quarters. Pre-64 and earlier, it was 90% silver in our real money. They call it junk silver, but it's just, actual U.S. currency, U.S. coinage that was 90% silver before they screwed us up, in 65. So the 10th ounce has always been a very handy amount. And we did dime cards right after the Ron Paul Evolution in promotion of silver, and created a silver, calculator app and all this stuff. And now show the people the silver card that they're doing. Nobody's throwing this away, okay? You do that, you put that in as a 10th ounce, and then what's it on the back? It's a business card. Yeah, you're not throwing away a 10th ounce of silver, are you? So what are you going to be doing with those at an Acapulco?
So we're giving one to everybody in attendance.
That could be a lot, man.
Yeah, well, we made up 1,000 of these cards. So we're passing them out. Yeah, it is a lot, considering it's basically $1,000 in silver. Oh no, it's $10,000 in silver to pass out 1,000 of these things. At $100 an ounce. The silver bits, they got a little bit of a premium on them when you buy them, but actually Local Silver Mint has the lowest price on fractional silver in anywhere in the world.
Oh, bless you.
And
Cash is sneezing.
Yeah. So we're we are pushing these silver bits because we want silver bubblegum money. Basically, we want it to be tradable. The idea is that, we already saw this $100 an ounce silver, so these bits are $10 a piece melt value. And if you got like a one ounce coin of silver, it's hard to break. And traditionally, the premium to make 10th ounce silver is really, really high if you look at it anywhere. And I've been working on this silver project myself with Dave. He's done tremendous. I've done a little bit, but I've been with him for 15 years. I've helped him set up a couple of his minting operations over the past several years, different ones. Hey, I'm talking, gotta be quiet, bud. And I've helped him set up and tool and change things around in his mints. I think I've helped him work on 4 different locations in the past. Well, I guess this one would be 5. the new facility. So he just got rented a huge facility. I don't know, it's like 35,000 square feet, I think.
What?
Yeah.
For what?
To make silver, and we bought these inductotherm induction furnaces to melt silver. We can melt 5,000 ounces of silver an hour.
Damn! Holy crap!
This is why last year when he went to we went to Anarchapulco. Silver Dave's mission was to raise a bunch of capital down there to rent a big or buy it, but anyways, to rent an outfit or to rent a huge facility. You need like big 3-phase power. These induction furnaces are 125 kVA at 460 volts. That's basically the electricity consumption of about 20 houses when you got one of these things running. And so we've been installing that for the past couple of weeks. I've been working over there almost every day with a crew of guys. And actually, the crew I'm working with, they're all these guys are free staters that we're working with. They're all libertarians. They all understand. Everybody's read, The Creature from Jekyll Island, years ago. They're all very well versed. Yeah, don't move. I'm talking, buddy. You got to be quiet.
Yeah, you couldn't get Cash to talk to me for one. Then, of course, the show starts and Eddie comes over. Yep. It's good to see you, Cash. Let Dad talk to me, okay?
So he's invested a lot of money. And basically the way it's set up right now, there's a mint in a secret location that's been running for a few years, but its capacity is maxed out at like 500 ounces per hour to pour silver, and then it's basically they can produce I don't know how many ounces a week. They've been making a couple thousand of these silver bits a week out of the mini mint, we call it, and Dave figures with the new production, the new forges, the huge rolling mills, and a crew of about 14 or 15 guys, they can make a million silver bits in a 4-day week on one work shift.
Damn.
And so he also went out. Now, if you watch up here in this piggy bank to silver, that's a video of Cypress when she wanted to cash in her coins and her dollars that were in her piggy bank and turn them into silver. It starts at 11 minutes in that video. It was released about a month ago on Dave's YouTube channel. And Dave's YouTube videos are coming out really well. He's doing them a couple a week. But anyways, in that video, in his series of videos, he talks about going out to Las Vegas and buying these coining presses. So he bought coining presses that used to belong to the U.S. Mint. And he got actually one of the coining presses he got a newspaper article right there with it. That press was the first press it minted the first Silver Eagle in 1986. Quiet, Cash. And here, you want to draw? And and then we got the operator, the original operator of that machine. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but if you go into Dave's videos, there's a video where they had the stockholders meeting or shareholders meeting for LocalSilverMint, and they actually ran one of the presses. Give a little example of it. So he hired the guy, got a year contract with the guy who ran the press in 1986 at the San Francisco Mint. And he got 4 of these presses. A couple of them are, 2 of them are single tap, and 2 of them are double tap. And the double strike one makes the coin really, really shiny. So these are like fully automatic presses. So it can essentially just like a machine gun, just keep on pumping out silver bits. That's what he was looking to do. And it was really by chance and a miracle, it seems like, that he got these presses, because the business that owned them in Vegas, they were making casino tokens at a copper. or brass. Can't remember now which one. But since all the casinos went digital, there's no more casino tokens. It sort of put this, it put these guys out of business. And the family, the guys that own this, they were all ready to retire anyways. So it was a good deal. They found a buyer, and Dave got like the only of these machines that exist in the world that were even available. We were able to buy them, which is just amazing. So our goal, the mission of Local Silvermint and what's been Silver Dave's mission for ever since I've met him 15 years ago is to put fractional silver in the hands of everybody, so we can be prepared, for the financial collapse. And Dave, he got a really good education on finance being in the military, because in his special forces unit over in Afghanistan, he was the money guy. And his job, one of his job was to make sure he spends, stop that tapping, to spend all the money, and a lot of it. So the only way the military can really afford to just have these insane spendex accounts and just blow through billions and hundreds of billions of dollars every year, and just everything not collapse, is this fractional reserve banking. So Dave got a really good education on finance, and also he got the firsthand watch what happens to people in foreign countries who didn't have any precious metals and all they had was paper fiat. They got wrecked. So Dave's mission has been to basically make sure that his peers, his friends and family, and the people around him, and essentially the people of his country, have an ability to preserve their wealth and trade amongst each other in a parallel economy or an alternate economy with silver bits. And it has to be these fractional bits, because it's getting hard to, it's hard to divide silver and figure it out. So this makes it really well. And I myself, silver's been a passionate mission for me. And frankly, I've been in silver longer than Dave has. I'm also a few years older than Dave, but when I was 6 years old, my grandmother paid me in silver. Oh, give me that pen. Yep. And so just a sec.
When he's over there, I can't really hear him if he's not on the mic. He's probably distracting the user.
Cypress is yelling up the stairs. So they don't know what quiet means for some reason. So anyways,
well, your grandmother paid you in silver, and then what?
So when I was 6 years old, my grandmother paid me in silver to do chores for her. So quite often, me and my cousin, or me and my brother and my cousin, we get dropped off at grandma's house upstate New York for, I don't know, the whole summer sometimes. It was probably like a week at a time. I don't really know. But we ended up, she would give us silver, and it would be, she had mason jars full of pre-1964 silver coin. And they were, dimes, quarters, halves, and Morgan dollars. In fact, I got a bunch of Morgan dollars from her, I don't know, for a birthday. And the card said something like, I was like 7 or 8 in that birthday, and the card said something like, "These aren't for candy. These are to give to your children someday." And I still have them. Now, I have a cousin, same age as me, and his father went to jail from the time he was like 8 to 12 years old. So it was like a really bad time for dad to be gone. And he ended up, cashing up and selling all of his silver that grandma gave him, basically for drugs as a teenager. I kept mine. So now I've been, so I've been stacking silver since I've been a little kid. And then, of course, another thing, it's okay because it's dirty. Another thing is that my father, as you know, Ernie, he had been bringing me to like John Birch Society meetings and these like law group meetups, as a little kid. And so I got to learn a bunch about. Okay, you can load it. Here you go. He got a bunch. He got to learn about. I got to learn a bunch about fractional reserve banking and the Federal Reserve, and essentially the Federal Reserve is a root of all of our problems. Uh, Dave's presentation at Anarchapulco is going to be about the biggest problem in the world. So the the big thing I really want to talk about, and what we're going to Anarchapulco to do, is to tell people about our silver deposit program, or silver or bullion deposit accounts. So I at 26 years old in 2006, I remember specifically that I did like an accounting of all my silver, and I kind of stacked it all up because so what I would do for years is when I was in the hay business and the horse business. So I'd buy and sell hay and horses, and I would buy like horse trailers and fix them. And that's how I got really good at welding, buying rusty horse trailers, putting all new metal on them, and then selling them. And every time I did a trade, I took 5% of the profit and I put it in an envelope. And I would spend that money on silver. So before PorkFest, there was a couple coin shops I would hit up at. One was in East Longmeadow, Mass. Another one was in Orleans, Massachusetts, which is out on Cape Cod. And I would often make at least one trip to Southern Florida, to the Winter Equestrian Festival. It's a big horse thing. So I'd either be hauling horses down or I'd haul hay down. And I would love hitting up these pawn shops in Miami and Fort Lauderdale, and you could buy constitutional silver for weight below spot, because these guys would only give like 40 or 50%. So they were happy to sell it for like 80% of spot. And the refineries back then wouldn't really give a lot of money for it. Now, silver was $4 or $5 a spot, back, $4 or $5 back then. Also, I would go work for my stepfather on his big farm and do corn harvest. And he'd pay me, it went for that, 40 days of work, it was between $6,000 to like $10,000 I made for him. And I did that for a lot of years every fall. And I would always take half of that harvest check and I would buy silver. I would usually buy Eagles, and I actually was buying them from these guys called Patriot Traders Network. They're actually based out of Phoenix, Arizona. And they do like they used to do a radio show back in the day. So by 2006, I had stacked 2,000 ounces of silver. Now, that did include all my constitutional silver, and I'm not 100% sure if I, got that number at the 90%. But, so I stacked 2,000 ounces of silver, and I dragged that silver all over the place with me. So when I moved to Colorado, I took all the silver to Colorado. Then I took it back with me, and then I've put it in, different vaults, and I've also done things where like, when I would go places or do different things, like when I got kicked out of my house, you remember that when I did the property tax thing in Massachusetts, I knew that was coming, so I like went and put the silver somewhere else, and and put my safe and stuff in a friend's house, or was my brother's house, I guess, at the time. And but LocalSilverMint is offering 5% on depositing silver with us, so you get paid in ounces. And I was like, wow, that's awesome. So I did the math on this. It's 5% compound, so it's an ARP or APR of 5.12% annual percentage yield. And if I had took my 2,000 ounces 20 years ago, I've literally done nothing with, and that's not true. I use it as collateral to get a loan to buy a house instead of selling that silver, but that was also in 2018. But instead of selling silver to come up with a deposit, I collateralized it and got a very inexpensive personal loan from a friend. But I did the math the other day with like a mortgage calculator. Yeah, I see that. Very good. Don't lose that. And here, show Ernie that, Cash. Put that up there. So Cash just took this thing as an ag mag, and he put it real close so you can see it good. And he filled it up with silver bits. That's what he's doing right here. So this is it's got a little belt clip on it, and we call it ag mag because AG is the atomic number for silver.
Okay, so it looks like it's about the size of a big cigarette lighter, but it's round and it keeps tenth of ounces of silver in it, and it's like a magazine. You just thumb off,
Yep.
10th ounces. That's awesome. Where did that come from? Who made that up?
So actually, it's a guy who is an investor in LocalSilverMint, and he's also a machinist. So he invented these things. So they're made out of aluminum. They're just machined out of aluminum, and you can carry it very nicely in your pocket. It stays pretty secure. If you watch the video where Cypress trades her piggy bank for silver, Dave actually gave her one of these things, and Cash has been wanting one too. And now you got one. So anyways, I did the math. If I took my 2,000 ounces of silver and I put it in someone's vault and got 5% annual percentage rate on it, today that would be 5,400 ounces of silver.
Damn.
And that's a lot of people, so I've been talking about silver my entire adult life. In fact, in 2001, when I was in the hay business, I was 21 at the time, but I had my own hay truck since I was 15, and I was a hay broker since I was 12 years old. I was brokering hay for my dad, my grandfather, and my two uncles. They were all hay dealers. And I was also loading and unloading their trucks and rounding up crews of kids from school and the football team to go unload semi-trucks of hay. And I got to tell you, all those kids that came and unloaded hay with me during high school, they all got awesome work ethic right now, and they're doing pretty good because none of them are afraid to work. So I ended up, so I put an ad in the want advertiser. Everything was print back then for advertising, and it was hay for sale, 25 cents a bale if paid for in pre-1964 silver coin. And I actually got a call from a guy claiming to be a Secret Service agent, wanting to know, why I did that. And I'm like, well, because Federal Reserve notes are just paper, and we call them. All right. No, this is good, buddy. Thank you. So we ended up doing. Don't take off with that. So, and nothing ever came out of that alleged Secret Service agent call. I almost think it was a prank call, but nobody ever fessed up to it or anything. So they just curious about why I'm, about the pre-1964 silver quarter. I'm like, well, because a bale of hay is worth about what a silver quarter is worth, on the retail market. So I did that, and then I got a guy who called me who had a feed store. And he's like, hey, I'll pay you in silver. And I brought that guy a load of hay, like, I don't know, every 3 or 4 months, 500 bales roughly. And he paid me in silver for that entire load of hay in Silver Eagles for years, from 2002-ish to, I quit doing hay in like 2013. And I went to work on the big farm in Colorado after that. So there's a lot of people out there who got silver and been stacking silver, and it hasn't been doing anything for them, except for maybe bouncing around in value. So the LocalSilverMint program, so at LocalSilverMint, we believe real wealth is measured in ounces, not dollars. Bullion deposit accounts are designed around a simple discipline principle: stack it up. Instead of storing your bullion at home or in a paid vault, LocalSilverMint BDA, which is bullion deposit account, allows you to put your metal to work, earning additional ounces while you sleep, fully accounted for, protected, and insured. So this is all in ounces. You're not getting paid in dollars. You're stacking ounces, and these are 1-year terms. So how bullion deposit accounts work: deposits are created 1-to-1 in ounces. 1 troy ounce deposited equals 1 troy ounce held by local silver mint. Earn a 5% annual percentage rate. 5.12 annual percentage yield on silver bullion deposited in additional ounces. We're also offering a 3.5 APR on gold bullion. Quarterly account returns accrue and compound monthly with no fees. Quarterly account statements for full transparency. Defined terms with clear withdrawal options. Holdings are insured. Early redemptions of principal are available, but are subject to a penalty. So I don't know if it says it in the contract that I read, and I've actually have a bunch of my silver in the silver deposit program also, and it's I believe it's a 2.5% penalty if you pull out early. So there's a few different account types that we're offering. There's a static bullion deposit account, which is ideal for one-time or intermittent deposits. Begin with 100 troy ounces of silver or 2 troy ounces of gold minimum, with a flexibility to add additional deposits and extend the 1-year term over time. And then this one seems to be the most popular one for people that I've been talking to is auto stacking account. So I started calling some of my customers because one of my jobs now is to get people to stack silver with us or deposit silver with us so we can use the silver. And we're going to use this silver for, you're not going to deposit silver that is family heirlooms or stuff you want to keep. And we're either going to, when you deposit the silver, we're either going to take the silver and we're going to flip it in our retail store. And we're working on opening up a couple other stores, one in Manchester and one in Portsmouth. Or we're going to melt the silver down and make silver bits out of it. So, So with the auto stacking, is I've called some people and I'm like, hey, you were all excited about buying silver for years, and I talked to you about silver for years. One of my friends, and he goes, a guy called 2 nights ago. He goes, it's real funny you mentioned that. He goes, ever since silver hit $100 an ounce, all I've been thinking about is you telling me to buy silver. And he goes. I go, so did you buy some silver? He goes, nope, I didn't buy any silver. So I said, well, let me tell you about the auto stacking bullion deposit account, silver only. So this is designed for disciplined long-term accumulation. Start with as little as 25 ounces and enroll automatic monthly deposits, minimum of $250 a month. Choose 1, 2, or 3-year terms and let your ounces compound steadily. So that idea is 25 ounces to enter, and it's and then we pull a minimum of $250 a month out of your bank account that you sign up for, and that way you can stack silver. And that's kind of how I stack the silver. I didn't, except for I took the money, put it in an envelope, and every time I went to Florida or Pork Fest or Liberty Forum or Love, and there was, in the early aughts or in the aughts, from like 2000 to 2010, there was all kinds of Liberty festivals going on, Western Massachusetts, and New Hampshire and even New York. And there would always be guys like Silver Dave selling silver there. And another guy I bought a lot of silver off over the year was Del Valley Silver. You probably remember those guys.
Yeah, no, I got some of that. Yeah.
Yeah, the little the Amish horse and carriage was on their 1 ounce rounds. I like those. So that's how I did it. I basically just consistently stacked silver with 5% of my profit. That I made. And one thing that was really good about stacking the silver and at silver as a savings, there was a few times where I probably would have bought something, but I didn't buy it because it takes a little while to turn the silver into dollars. So it was a little hard to spend back then. And that helped me save it. When it's in a vault, it's kind of the same thing. So it's pretty easy to spend silver now because you can go to local silver mint and they give you like really good rate when they buy your silver back. To where like the coin shops, they'll almost never give you 90%. They're like 80% on like 995. And they might be better now, but back in the day, it was hard to get anything above 80% from like coin shops or the cash for gold guys in the mall. They were pretty abusive. A lot of those guys were like 60% on the spot weight or cash for gold and silver. So, and then the other thing that you can do, now I don't have an IRA, but is a self-directed IRA. Now, not all of these IRAs and 401ks can do this particular thing. There's some of them that can't, but basically you can take your IRA or your 401k and it's okay, bud. And you can, he's over here playing with these silver bits, having a fun with them. And you can basically flip it into silver and you don't pay any penalty and it has to stay in the vault. And so I guess the IRAs, don't fill up anymore, bud. So I guess the IRAs, from what I understand, you can't draw from them until you're 59 and a half years old. But meanwhile, that IRA, I think it's crazy to have an IRA in stocks or bonds when you can put it in physical metals, especially when you can put it in physical metals and your metal makes 5%, and the metal is in a really principled, libertarian-based business that if you go to like PorkFest or Liberty Forum, you've talked to and shook hands, and even at Anarchapulco or Jackalope, you've talked to and shook hands with the owners of local silver mint. And I think there's about 50 or 60 cash quiet, buddy. There's about 50 or 60 actual investors. I'm not sure yet numbers, but they're mostly all local libertarian types.
This is one thing, I'm glad you presented this option, and of course we'll do something. I mean, I got silver sitting here, looking at me, but it'd be nice if it was making more silver. That's good. I like that. But, I don't need a percentage of spot and it go, what, you going to pay me in dollars? I don't give a crap, but get more silver, that's good. Now, when you keep slinging around the word insured, what the hell does that mean?
So local silver mint is all it's got all the financial licenses and, things that they had. It cost them a lot of money to get this set up and to hire the guys like the CFO and the CPA and, the guys that make all this stuff work and the accountants to make this done. So the definition of insurance, I don't really have a definition. But what I understand, basically, if like the silver gets robbed, it's covered. So one guy asked me about, well, what happens if there's a silver market collapse? The silver goes back down to $25 an ounce. And I says, well, it doesn't really matter because everything is stacked in ounces, not in dollars. And what happened when silver went to 127. A silver bullion banks and silver refiners, a lot of them had come real close to like closing down, and I guess a couple refineries did shut down because the refineries don't. A cash, quiet, buddy.
I can't hear him if he's far away. Yeah, turn your mic back on.
The silver refineries, the way their business model works is they're kind of like run off a line of credit for with the bank, and there's like some kind of like margin call thing where the silver gets really high. The refinery's got to come up with more dollars, or it puts the refineries out, which is kind of a horrible business plan, but it's the way that they do it because they're able to get cheap money from banks. And the business plan for local silver mint includes stacking actual physical silver and not having banks involved in backstopping the silver. So it's just, there is no like margin call thing. I believe the insurance has to do with theft. or maybe a fire or something. And I can tell you the security is pretty detailed and intense. Dave being Cash, stop that. Dave being former special forces. He's get a lot of training, and like special forces is like the very top of the military, from what I understand. Like those guys are the top dogs in the military, and so he's very, very detailed on security. The vault that he had installed at one of the locations is, according to the vault guys, it is the best vault in New Hampshire. It's essentially like a big high-end bank vault, and it has a 5,000-pound door, and that's pretty much all I can say about the vault. So the vault's really impressive. The security is tight, and I believe the insurance has to do with silver, like being basically stolen.
Well, I want to ask, the actual program of me giving. I go, all right, I get a 100-ounce bar, just try it out, see what's up, or maybe more, maybe whatever. One, I got to get it to you, So I mean, you can ship it, I guess. Roberts and Roberts shipping silver all over the place all the time, anyway. But so you get the silver, he puts it in there, but I'm not getting, my silver. I mean, they're going to use it. It's going to get melted into whatever. Right? So this isn't, my Philharmonics kind of thing. It's my 10, 100-ounce bars of whatever stuff that, bulk, and you go, all right, here, go make me some silver with it. Well, he takes that, and he actually melts it down in your big induction furnaces or whatever. He turns it into these 10th ounces. Can I get, how much premium I got to pay to get paid back in 10th ounces?
Yeah, I can answer that question. That number is going to change once we get production ramped up. But basically, from what I understand, so that video with Cypress in it, the first part of that video has a guy trading constitutional silver for he's making a mess back there with cat food. Trading constitutional silver for silver bits. So I believe when you walk in there into the showroom with a 100-ounce bar of silver, you can walk away with basically 82 or 84 ounces of silver bits. It's like a 15%-ish or 14% premium. I can't remember the actual numbers, and that will get cheaper. Now, if you do your bullion deposit, you're likely going to get your bullion back in 1-ounce rounds or 10-ounce bars, but you could take it back in silver bits, but there's going to be a bit of a premium to pay. And there's definitely some videos on LocalSilverMint of people trading in their, bunch of tubes of silver or constitutional silver or 100-ounce bars. I was in there a couple of weeks ago, and a guy had this little lockbox he was carrying, and you could tell it was heavy, and he just started pulling out these 25-ounce cubes of silver and just stacking them up on the table, on the little sales counter there. And he went home with all silver bits, and there was probably at least 8 bars that I saw, of these 25-ounce bars, like 200 ounces of silver, and he traded them for bits. And so yeah, it's and that guy actually owns a business locally, and he takes silver, and he advertises that he takes silver. And so yeah, you can get your silver back however, but the bits cost, the fractional stuff's going to cost more than just getting your one.
Yeah, no, we're aware of that, but I'm it depends on the premium. You're looking at like 14-15%, which is, I don't know, kind of standard. Is not like we're getting a deal or anything. But the one thing, bits. I always hear in the movies they go, that'd be 2 bits, or that's a bit. A bit, for a drink, 2 bits for a, I don't know, saddle shine or whatever the heck it was. So I had to look this up, and I'm going, what the hell is a bit anyway? It's a silver quarter. you know? And it was, 2 bits was a quarter. They nicknamed it 2 bits. That'll be 2 bits. For some reason, everything was 50 cents. It was 2 silver quarters. It was kind of a standard thing. So when you got, a bit, 2 of them is like 20 cents. Well, you're kind of in the ballpark there. So I can see why you call it bits. And it was, I don't know what the epistemology of the term is. It just, meant that. So there, now you're watching old Westerns and you kind of get what's going on, which is what we have been very supportive of, is why when it was 2010, I think, when we were doing the silver dime cards. And the silver dime cards was an educational thing. So people understood what a silver dime was worth at 2010. It kind of got up to $30-something, $40 at one time, and you're just going, damn, man, this is going up. And then you go a dime a dozen, dime a dozen, dime a dozen, what dozen? And what it was is a silver dime got you a dozen eggs. So when Don and I were making a bunch of eggs, all our friends would come over, and you give me a silver dime, you get a dozen eggs, and so that held. Then you had like 20 cents to get you a gallon of gas, well, if it was silver dimes. So this was, the concept that we were using. And in the Liberty community, we trade silver for labor, for products, for stuff, for livestock, for all the time. And especially in New Hampshire, silver is a thing. So that's why Silver Dave, has done well in growing his silver business, because in the Free State Project in New Hampshire and New England there, we traded silver all the time. And I remember in 10, 11, we created a silver dime app, or a silver app, to where you had on your phone, you downloaded it, from the Play Store. Now there's a whole bunch of stuff up there. And we didn't renew it because Google was anal probing if you got a phone home of the app, if we need to know everybody, whatever. We're like, nah, we're not playing anymore. But, the technology is now been outed and out there. So when you go to these festivals, you're dealing with people, it'll give an immediate United States or Euro conversion or whatever it was for silver. So it's kind of international. Well, we proved this. And, a bunch of us have, commemorative silver dime cards that we just charged, whatever for. And the silver dime cards was an educational tool. And there was a lot of Ron Paul stuff, a lot of businesses. So when you see the 10th ounce business card that you have for silver there, you're going, okay, this is here, let me put up so you can see it. When you do that, it's recognizable. You can see what it fits in your wallet, and I have silver cards are like credit card size that we got a bunch of those from Roberts and Roberts. And these are things we knew that businesses would do exactly what you're doing, because you don't throw it away. It's like, are you keeping that? Yes, you are. So this is, you always got the number for them. But I can see how this would be. It can build and it'll grow. It's the same thing. You just had Peter Schiff on last week or week before, and he does the same thing. He stores the silver, gold for you, but he's tokenized it into where you can actually spend it, electronically. So there's that option coming in the future. But then you got to deal with banks and regulations and, capital gains and paperwork. Liberty community is not about paperwork. We hate paperwork. I don't need no freaking paperwork. So what we're doing is the concept that you, Silver Dave, have come up with is that instead of having your silver just sitting there, I mean, it's going up in value, or really maintaining value is what's really going on. But, you could have it actually start producing more silver babies. I'm going, okay, I got my silver, it's still mine, but it's produced, and it's the value in its weight. Do I get the exact silver back? No. It's not, I would even say, how are they doing this on taxes? Is it a capital gains? Is it an investment? Is it, do you know how the paperwork is working on me?
Yes.
Because I would definitely want a record as freaking mine. I'm owed.
Right. So there is taxes. So a lot of people have existing LLCs, so they're having the LLC hold the silver. But basically, there's like going to be a 1099 report, and the way that works is that report is on your interest. So let's say you get 1,000 ounces in deposit, and at the end of the year, that 1,000 ounces yielded you 50 ounces or 50.1 ounces of silver bullion. And then what they do is in the contract, it says that they take the spot price of silver on the last day of December, which this year, business day of December. This year it was just 2025, December 31st, on COMEX exchange at 1 p.m. Whatever that spot amount of silver is, that your interest in silver gets multiplied times that spot, and that's essentially your interest that you would be 1099 on. That is that part of that, and there's many ways to to deal with that through like a trust or an LLC, or and foreigners can do this too. I haven't got the actual paperwork for the foreigners yet, because when we're at Anarchapulco, half the people aren't from the U.S. that are there, or 1/3 of them aren't from the U.S. So so there's going to be a lot of those folks interested in doing this too. And here, if you go to localsilvermint.com/BDA, and you can see that backslash, let me do this here, BDA, localsilvermint.com/BDA. There you go. Bullion deposit accounts is on this card. And you go down and you fill out your first name, last name, and your email. And then they will respond to you with the proper documents. And then a couple emails later, you'll get an auto-signed contract. And then you'll see at the bottom, how did you hear about us? So I've been telling everybody to put J-A-Y. So they know that Jay gets the credit, because I am getting a little percentage off this. But what I want you guys to do that are listening to this on Ernie's show is just put Ernie Hancock, or put Ernie in the how did you hear about this? And I haven't talked to anybody, Dave or anybody, about they don't even know I'm doing this show. I'm just doing it because your audience is going to want to hear about this, and a lot of them are going to want to participate in it. So if you could put how'd you hear about this, throw Ernie's name in there. There you go, Ernie. And
Ernie.
And we're gonna because most we want to track on where it's coming from, for example, and Ernie's going to get some reward also on whatever comes through here. So, and the other thing is I have it's a lot of people. So you talked about shipping the silver. What a lot of people are doing is they're just taking and they're just buying silver. So one friend of mine, he's done very well. He's a computer guy. He's made really good money for like the last 15 years doing basically computer programming type stuff. And he cashed up his retirement fund. It wasn't a 401k. I'm not sure what it was, but he cashed it up. He had to pay a little bit of a penalty to cash it up, and he flipped it all into silver to put in deposit, because his retirement fund doesn't do 5%. It does like 1 point something. And then there's some other people who have took some money market account stuff, and they've turned that into silver. So most of the people doing the bullion deposit aren't actually shipping silver. In fact, nobody's really shipped any silver in that I know of. A lot of people locally have just driven their silver over to our retail store and dropped it off. That's how they made their deposit. And shipping silver is not really a big deal. It just gets to a certain point. You can only insure it for so much. You need like gold, for example. When they ship gold, a lot of times they'll ship the gold gold, like grams of gold or 1/10 of gold. They'll ship them in different packages because it just the value of the gold maxes out, the insurance, through the shipping. So, but I'm not a pro on the shipping part, but I can tell you a lot of people are just turning their digital dollars that are in some account into the silver bullion, which they're really happy about because a lot of people who understand, how fragile the fiat dollar system is, they're just scared that they got a lot of money, in a lot of digital money out there just in the marketplace. And I look at it as divesting in the beast system. So when you take money out of these metal market accounts and you take them out of these IRAs, the dollars, and you convert it into silver, you divest in, all of Jeffrey Epstein's friends who are doing horrible things that Ernie and I have been aware of for lots of years. But, these recent Epstein document dump just shows that these guys are, it's really gross what's going on. But, we could divest from the parasite beast system, the global bankers, and you can invest in a local silver mint. And, your followers, your viewers here, Ernie, a lot of these guys know, they know me, they know Silver Dave. We're also going to be working with Tim Pichette on this, or Tim Pichot, the Liberty Advisor. I've been talking to him about it now. We've been talking about it for a couple of weeks, and he'll be at Anarchapulco also. So,
oh, cool! I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. So we're going to actually have a dinner with me, Dave, and Tim, and a few other people. We're going to have a dinner with Tim, working on this. And another mission I have at Anarchapulco is we need to hire people. We need to hire, preferably libertarian-minded, high trust people. And if you go to LocalSilverMint.com/jobs, there is all kinds of people that we're looking to, all kinds of jobs we're looking to fill. I'll just read them off real quick. Social media marketer, graphic designer, content creator, national salesperson, in-store salesperson, local store manager, creative online contractor, production crew member. So the production crew member are the guys actually making the silver. Video editor, director, cameraman, national sales manager. And there's, 6-7 lines and about, what these jobs entail. And, same thing. If you go to LocalSilverMint.com/jobs, and there's a little, field down the bottom, you can fill it out, throw in your email, and also put in there that you heard about it on Ernie's show. You heard Ernie and Jay talking about this.
Well, I got about a third of these covered with people I know.
Oh, good.
We shall, and some of them are going to be at Anarchapulco, so you're going to fill some of this up.
Yeah, and that is our Anarchapulco mission to fill jobs. And the thing with like Anarchapulco.
Whoa, wait a minute. 90 to 150K? Shoot. That'd be more money than they ever saw.
Yeah. And, it's obviously got to be the right gap. The problem is there's some social media, there's some people that like they present themselves as they can do all this stuff and they can't. But one thing that's really nice about like Anarchapulco and Liberty Forum is the quality of people that go there. I mean, Liberty Porkfest, for example, the quality of people that go there. Now, Porkfest is kind of a cheap, kind of inexpensive freedom festival that pretty much anyone can get to. And Anarchapulco is like, you got to go to Mexico. You got to like, it's
pay a $500,000 ticket. I mean, it's like a thing.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I think the general admission ticket is like $650, and the VIP is like 1,800. But the VIP, you get 3 meals a day at the conference, and comes with they got like basically there's like an open bar, which I don't do alcohol. I don't do that. Alcohol is not good for us. But anyways, so I've done Anarchapulco the last 2 years, and the reviews I've gotten about Anarchapulco, years before from people like, it's really awesome, you got to go, and I'm glad I went the last couple of years. Anarchapulco is essentially Pork Fest with no riffraff. Anarchapulco is like the cream of the crop of like your libertarian and your anarchist from all over the world. And the vibe there, you got, all these like energy healers. You got the I Heal Collective. David Avocado Wolf is there. He's another health guru. There's just such a good vibe there. Very high energy. It's an amazing place. And the people showing up there make it amazing. So that's why we're targeting Anarchapulco to get these jobs filled, because there's just a lot of good people and there's a lot of talent. And like, Ernie, you said, I know half, I could fill a third of these jobs with some friends. So we're pretty excited about Anarchapulco. I'm actually getting on a plane Sunday morning to head down. And I have an affiliate code with Anarchapulco, which is just JAY. If you buy you can buy the online thing for like $150 or $175 and just watch the whole presentation from your house. Virtual access, $150. Or you can go down there and if you fly on Sunday morning, the red eye, the flight's pretty cheap. I couldn't believe it. I got round trip tickets 2 weeks ago for like $600. But flying red eyes back and forth, which doesn't bother me. I just sleep anyways, and I don't waste a day doing that. So yeah, we're excited about Anarchapulco. And then there's going to be the Crypto Vigilante Summit, which I'm also going to attend, which is a couple days after Anarchapulco, the weekend after it. And I'm really looking forward to getting IV ozone, which I did last year, where they put ozone right in your vein. That's really powerful stuff. And also the body work with the I Heal Collective, where they release a lot of physical traumas and emotional traumas you have. It's pretty amazing.
They got a lot of things. This has been going on for, a long time. Yeah, there's all kinds of different stuff. And they embraced crypto early on. They, do their thing. And it's, a lot of people you recognize, that go and speak, and a lot of these guys I know and we promote on the side or have on, and it's a thing. Oh, Dan Dix is going to be there. Cool. Right on. Curtis Stone, awesome. Get to see Mark Edge. Great. Wow, very cool. And it goes on for like a week. It's a thing. And I'll be speaking. They got me on here somewhere. And so I'll be speaking about Occupy the Land and the why there, and what's going on there. Oh, Paul Puey, awesome. He's the owner of Edge Wallet. We're good friends. I haven't looked at this list. I didn't know a lot of these guys I don't know, but a lot of guys. Aaron Day. We're working with Aaron, Timothy Pachote. Tatiana is going to be there. Very cool, very cool, very cool. So we're participating. We get, Donna and I, my deal was that you pay for everything and we get everything of everything, and I'll go do my everything. And then after Anarchapulco, we're going to Panama to spend with, some of our friends and for a week, and then we'll come back. But this trip is going to be a reconnection. We haven't gone to a lot of things over the past couple of years. We've been working on the land a lot, but we got new projects coming up. Beware the Ides of March, and I'll share that with you when we, get down there, and I'll be telling everybody about that. But it is like you say, it's those that get it already get it. I got it. we're doing it, and it is something that they're sharing with people. And the one thing, Miranda, there's Miranda. Now, Miranda is one of the people I was thinking of because she does our videos for Occupy the Land. And she has some, and then you got Matt Raymer with Content Safe, knows how to do the social media stuff. And of course, Catherine knows everybody. She does a lot of the stage managing, so on. She's the coordinator for our Acapulco. And a lot of these people, Charlie Robinson, man, just the cream, Curtis Stone. I mean, so we're Dan Dix. I mean, man, what a lineup. And there's Silver Dave. And this is a target-rich environment for what you're doing. And what I wanted to emphasize is that everything's going physical. As much as they, get all Bitcoined up and, go up and down and then up again and down again and up again. But for me, it's turned into GoldmanSucks.gov coin. It's just been, a lot of the people, and that you get into what Aaron Day is going to be talking about. You get into the Epstein files, and Epstein was one of the main guys behind them turning it into, GoldmanSucks.gov coin. They wanted to interface it with the legacy banking system that it was supposed to be parallel to, out of, not part of, Bite Me. And silver is really one of the main things that we embrace as part of being outside of the system. And if you can get interest on your silver with more silver, I vote that. I don't need dollars. I did the whole thing, get away from your dollars. And the one thing with Bitcoin, it has more to do with the Federal Reserve System than it does precious metal. I keep calling it digital gold. The hell it is. You're so worried about how many dollars it's worth, and I don't give a crap. We need to link it back to constitutional money. Jay keeps calling it, but he's just talking about U.S. minted silver and so on. But I'm looking. I'll do at least a little bit of this. I got 100-ounce bar. Big giant paperweight. I just rather it be making something for me. So I can do it by converting to cash, and just sending that. Or am I better off? Probably better off I just do, the metal and not go through all the crap, the man cut me at all ends. But how is it paid out? Is it weekly, monthly, annually? Do I get a roll? How's the payout on it?
So it's a 12-month term, 1-year term, and you can it pays out in ounces of silver. So you can take your 5% in silver, like what I've been doing the past couple of years, is just putting it right back into my silver deposit account. So the 5%, I just keep on stacking it back in. I haven't pulled anything out of it. A very close friend of mine, she's been doing the same exact thing, and she's actually been pulling out the silver, and this year was able to pay all of her property extortion taxes with just her silver interest. So she pulls out her interest and cashes it up and pays the property tax, for example, which works well for her. I've been and like my earning potential is better than hers, so I'm not needing to like burn up my silver to do things. I got lots of work to do, and I can work and pay for it. But so you can take it in silver bullion, and or you can roll it back in, and or you just go, when you go pick up your silver at the showroom, you can then just take it and just cash it in there and sell it if you want to sell it. But yeah, it all pays out in silver, and whatever you do with your silver at the end is yours. And these are 12-month contracts, and most people are just rolling them right back over. And this
helps with storage. Tell you that. I got a tractor in a big desert. But
yeah.
It'd be nice. It made me some money. Made me more silver.
Another thing with storage is I have a very good friend a guy I've been encouraging to stack silver and precious metals, and he moved to Southern California and started a business that became very profitable. And all of his stuff got stolen. And he had a safe that he had professionally installed in the house. It was like he sent me a picture of the wall where the safe was, and he showed me a picture of the safe before it. But somebody literally run a chain into his house, somehow got it around the safe, like they chiseled the wall out, around the sheetrock, broke it all out, and they just ripped it out with a truck or something. This was a year ago. And he said he had like 12 ounces of gold in there, and he had about 500 ounces of silver, and he also had some cash. He had his I don't know if it's his wife's parents, like jewelry and rings or something. But the dude paid like $5,000 to have this, like, I don't know, 10, 12 cubic foot safe, installed in his house. And I wouldn't have, I'm like, wow, I wouldn't have put it in there. I would have built something like, out of steel or concrete personally. But it's and it's just good to have not all your eggs in the same spot, because, there could be theft. But, California, it ain't like you can own a gun and really defend yourself. And, it's pretty high crime. And also, and I'm sure it was somebody who knew the guy, it's like, the first rule about Fight Club is don't talk about Fight Club, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
anyways,
no, I talk about it way too much in my personal stuff as an encouragement for people.
Me too.
But we, we have it diversified, and I got a bunch of children and grandkids and little safes of whatever. But I do have physical, and it is spread around where don't get in too much trouble. But this is a good option for some of the stuff that I do. I have some bulk silver, just a bunch of 10-ounce bars kind of stuff, or other things, or even some gold and whatever. It's not gazillions of dollars. It's not worth. Well, I don't know. They kill you for your tennis shoes nowadays, so God, But the main thing is that if I can have it stored somewhere and get paid for storage, you don't get that. You're paying for storage. That's what how this whole thing started. You went to the local goldsmith or the blacksmith, and he'd have a place or something. You'd have him store your gold, silver with, and he'd give you a paper receipt, and that became paper money. That was the currency, is trading that around. Well, not everybody would come and get it, so they'd print up a little bit more extra paper, and then all of a sudden you're in the fractional reserve, and it means nothing. That you got 300 and something claims on every ounce of silver now. This is how it works. And then all of a sudden people want delivery, and then, it was here a minute ago. I mean, fine. So this is an opportunity to get paid for storing your silver. Hell, just that. I'm okay. I vote that. Well, this is one thing, and the reason I introduce you to Jay is a good friend. So is Silver Dave, and we've known these guys for decades. This has been a Liberty community. Like, Jay had a big part in the mechanics of the Love Bus. When we first did this project, you always count on Jay. He's been out here on the land before. He helped, build me a road hone that, I really beat the crap out of that thing. I got the the workshop up again. I got to do some welding, but I was winging it really fast. But what happens is it's a community, and you're talking about Ernie's out in the middle of, and you have where's your community. Our community is international. We know a bunch of people, and the main thing that we're doing is we want to make sure that we have you guys have an understanding that we know these people. And, one thing that we're doing is we want to make sure that we're part of the community, that, we're getting to where you guys understand we know each other. We are, have a lot of trust amongst ourselves, and that we have the same goal. And it's survival, thrival. This has been a liberty community building towards this. Decentralized wealth distribution, decentralized living, food, water, individual liberty, self-responsibility. And this has been the basis of the understanding of the foundation of this entire culture, this country, this geographic area, this, what it means to be American. So this has been just a continuation of the same concepts, that you have reliance on yourself and your community. This has been part of everything that we have done and all the relationships that we have. We are much more resilient. Why? Because we understand principally what is and is not of value. And the biggest thing is, even more than silver, is credibility, your reputation. Your reputation precedes you. Well, Jay, Dave, ourselves, all our friends, a lot of the people, it's going down there in Acapulco, go to Fork Fest, Pork Fest, Jackalope, all these festivals. We're all friends from all over the world. And what happens is when we launch our, Philosophy of Liberty program or this or that, it's the same people doing the same stuff. It's the Lovolution. It's Ron Paul, as was a really good example or representative on the public sphere of everything that we advocate for. Well, anti-war, pro-value, pro-human values, family raising, all of these fundamental things that make up a thriving community. Well, one of the things was, what Jay does. He's occupying the land. And that's one thing I wanted to end on. Your experience in the Free State Project there, Jay is a big, giant add to any community. When it comes down, when COVID started and everything, he's out, advertising for and getting bacon seeds. I go, bacon seed? What the hell's a bacon seed? Well, you couldn't have livestock or animals on, Facebook Marketplace or the internet or different, things. So you had piglets. It was little baby pigs. And what were you doing? You had to where they were trading future in food. It was a food thing. So then you have all of these opportunities for us not dying. So Jay becomes a butcher. Jay works with livestock. Jay's, part in a cattle herd. He's got cattle on his land. He's got pigs on his land. He's got chicken on his land. And he raises his two small children that we've been entertained by. And I saw, Cypress in the background there. Yay. But this has been a lifestyle for all of us, knowing we were going to be fine, because we had people that understood the reality of the world. Who is really in charge of you? You are. But you got to act like it. And part of that is, investing in those things that you want to see more of. And I want to see more of this kind of stuff. Everything that we're doing, all the support that we do, the shows that we do, kind of the, you talk to Jay, you're going to get kids and dogs. This is the way it is, So I don't worry about it as part of the show. But the thing is that Jay has been advocating the raising of children before he was even married, before, he had children, before. And then he's being an example in it. And all of what he does is centered around truth of the world. He goes to the Free State Project to exercise that. Now, the one thing before we go, I wanted you to share with the audience. You are mechanical, welder, diesel man, car repair. We freaking need to clone, Jay for all of the needs of people just living and surviving as much as you think you're autonomous until your car breaks down, until you need a repair of, until you need some construction for, until you need the food from. And you go to Jay. And if he doesn't do it, he knows somebody that does. And he always expands on the capability of providing these very things. And there's been so many people that have interned, apprenticed, moved to the Free State Project, and Jay's got a job for you. You want to work? I got a job for you. And then they become competent, and they go off and do their own thing. You got another crew that comes in. You know, homeschoolers, they got a day. Their favorite day is going to Jay's farm and having, we're going to homeschool. So this has been such a blessing to sit there and watch it happen of what's possible, and Jay represents that. All this time, Silver Dave lived on the land there, doing a lot of, been the silver guy. Well, it just grew, and he started expanding. He started being entrepreneurial about it. He opened up a retail shop. They're opening up more retail shops. All of a sudden, all this stuff that we've been screaming about, silver, stacking silver, which I keep screaming, all of a sudden it comes around, woo, them boys be right. Well, they're expanding. And having the access to the silver, they don't have to buy it. You're putting it on deposit with them for them to make more silver out of it for you. And I'm going, okay, I vote that. What is it that I try? Insurance, somebody comes in and, robs you or whatever. I mean, that's good. But the only other insurance I got, and all the other stuff doesn't matter. You go with these different storage facilities, but it got rehypothecated. And I go, what the hell is that? It means they used your silver as collateral on deposit with them because you totally agreed. We went through this with Gerald Salente from Future Trends. He puts his money in, he goes to Future Trends, I want money. It was here a minute ago, it's gone now. Life sucks to be you. We used it, we hypothecated it. I didn't even know that was a word. And you totally agree that if they go out of business and they're bankrupt, they kind of use your silver for, and it's not even they pay you. You're paying them, to be able to get delivery on the silver. So it's just so backwards. And what's happened, the people that are philosophically aligned with how the world really works and should eventually works, sooner or later it all comes crashing down and you're left with whatever physical atoms you got. And this is what we're investing in. Freedom. You want more freedom, you got to support freedom. And this is something that I think is going to take off, and it'll get better and better and better and better, or not. That's not the concept. For me, a lot of times, different software, different projects, it's worth the investment to me to support that which I want to see more of. And it will happen. Now, when things start getting like crypto, programmable money we want to have, legit Trump administration supporting Bitcoin, we're going to kind of do, never freaking mind. I can see when things are starting to go bad. It's starting to be influenced by ETFs and different financial instruments and, on the stock market, and they can short and long. They just turned Bitcoin into paper like they did gold and silver. But at least, like Peter Schiff, shared with us on the show, you got atoms. It's physical. I need it. I want it. And silver's more rare than gold. A lot of people don't realize that. It's a higher percentage of the crust. There's more of it coming out, but it's absorbed into all of these itty bitty silver in all the connections on electronics, your phones, your solar panels, your batteries, your electric cars, your AI infrastructure, your data centers. It just gets sucked out, and it's not recoverable because it's such little pieces, a little amounts not worth recovering, but it's a big giant drain globally on silver, and they can't keep up. There's just do an AI search. Just ask, hey, how much silver is there above ground ready compared to gold? Gold kicks the crap out of it. And I'm telling you, this is not over. Here we go. I did a lot of research on why silver was so popular. It is the most effective conductor of heat and electrons. Well, guess what computers need? They conduct away the heat and conduct the electrons. So there isn't really a replacement. Copper does a good job, but it's not the same. You want high end, and what's the difference in a phone? The difference is, I don't know, a quarter. 15 cents or whatever to have, silver over copper connections? Well, guess what you're using? Even at twice, 3 times, 100 times the price. It doesn't matter. They are buying silver. Oh, it's $130, $50, $70 an ounce. Boom, bought. China. And you can't export it out of China anymore. Now, all the raw material, all the ore, all the stuff goes 70, 80% of the processing is in freaking China. And then once it gets processed, they don't let it go. As of January 26th, the physical market in Shanghai has a $15, $20, $30 premium on what the COMEX says. Here in New York, it's a break with paper versus physical. And what have we been screaming? Physical, 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 physical self-custody. I got it right here. Physical. Now, if I have the option of you start all these silver stackers, you get your safes yanked out of the wall. You got somebody coming with guns saying, where it be? And you're going, it's over there, What if you didn't have to pay for storage? A lot of people that we know hold a lot of, wealthy people hold a lot of silver. They're paying storage. They're paying vaults to hold it for them. Well, are they getting more silver at the end of the year? They are not. They're getting less. So here we have a Liberty community going to the Liberty community and saying, look, I know you guys got a bunch of silver stacking around somewhere. Want to make more silver with it? Yes, I do. I vote yes. Count me in. So this is what we're looking at. I wanted you to just meet my good friend Jay that's at, right in the middle of this, that it kind of started on his property with Silver Dave that we all have known for decades. This has been, a building thing right in front of us for, God, years and years and years. And we've been supportive, and Dave has had the vision, and he keeps buying the equipment. He getting more. I remember, when he first built his a couple of shipping containers that they put together and kind of built, and then it was a good kind of, their security system. He's all big on security. Thou shalt not walk in without wrap you in bubble wrap, and put your hands in, straitjacket kind of whatever. You're not allowed to touch nothing. I'm going, yeah, but I'm Ernie. Nope. This is how it works, man. Life sucks. And I'm going, okay, So, but I got to see the actual process that they use. I mean, they are melting raw silver. They turn it into bars. They make it press it into ribbons. They have punches that make the blank. They make the coins. They do I'm going, this is freaking cool as hell. And now, 10th ounces has always been the thing for us. So this is going to take off. And I wanted to make sure you guys knew about the option. We'll have all the links in the archive for you to be able to go do this. And I personally, Ernie knows these people. Trust these people. They're part of the community that has been advocating for this kind of wealth preservation. That's really going to, pendulum swing's going to get stupid on this thing, and it's still not too late, especially after they've been, selling all their shorts and, cashing out, and JP Morgan, gets rid of all their shorts, and then when it's down, they buy a shit ton of it and got 800 something, million ounces of damn. What did they know? They knew what was going to happen, and so did we, because it was a philosophical thing. So, Jay, the question I have for you, whatever comment you want to make, but the question I have for you, people pay you in silver all the work you do for them? There's a lot of silver trading going on. I need some hip, fix my car, get me a cow, have it. Because I remember during COVID, there was people were buying hogs like crazy. They just knew that they needed to provide meat for their family, and they were just buying, And Jay understood this early on in the beginning. There's a bunch. It's not free. It's grass-fed, super healthy, great cattle, whatever. So what does Jay do? He butchers them. They put them in, portions. He goes to these festivals and sells it. It may not even be cheaper. As a matter of fact, it's probably more expensive. But they're paying in silver, and they're getting quality stuff. And the Free State Project will not go hungry. That is a member community. And if I was there, I'd be right in the middle of it. And we're trying to recreate a lot of this attitude and stuff here out in the desert. So tell me about the accumulation of silver and what your work and what you provide to the community, Jay.
So when I first got into New Hampshire, December, or it was November of 2016. I moved from Colorado to New Hampshire, and I started working just doing landscaping, snow plowing, landscape property management kind of stuff. I was living in Manchester in the city, and the rate was, if it was like, say, to plow your driveway, if you're going to pay me in cash, was $100. But if you're going to pay me in silver or crypto, it was $75. And if you're going to pay me through like Venmo or Cash App, it was $125. Or write me a check or something, it was more money. So a lot of a couple of these normie guys had a few properties, and they see me walking around mowing, and they're like, hey, you want to come mow this lawn? You're mowing the lawn right next to me, and do my shoveling and my snow plowing and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, I can do all that. And I introduced these guys to Bitcoin and silver. So the guy's like, you mean if I walk over to Tim so-and-so's coin shop, you'll give me a 25% discount if I just buy the silver from him? And this guy, I forget, there's Tim something coin shop right there in Manchester. And I go, yeah. So one guy started doing that. He started going over there and buying tubes of Eagles, and he would just pay me in silver Eagles. He had like, I think he had like 6 or 4 properties, I can't really remember now, that I was taking care of with all of the property maintenance. And then same thing with when I bought those 250 piglets from out west, because they were going to euthanize them in the spring of 2020. I didn't even buy them. I got them for free. I just had to pay the trucking on them. And it worked out for like $40 a pig by the time the trucking happened. A piglet, they were little pig. You were there when I was doing this. And I put on, I advertised bacon seeds on Craigslist, and I advertised them on Facebook and a couple local websites, around here, and on Free State Project stuff. I would, and in Telegram and Signal groups. And I'm like, yeah, it's piglet's $100 if you pay in bullion, Bitcoin, or bullets, or it's $150 if you pay in cash. So people, there was a Bitcoin vending machine down the road. People sending people there to buy Bitcoin, and people were showing up and paying me in silver. One guy actually paid me in platinum for the piglets, and so I did collect some silver. And then, so one of the things I'm doing at one of the things I've been doing with my kids is, the goldbacks. The goldbacks are basically, they're almost the shape of size of a dollar bill, and it's a 1/1000th of an ounce of gold that's sprayed on a piece of plastic.
Yeah, goldbacks are awesome.
Yeah, they're awesome. They got a high premium. They're like basically double spot, but they're really awesome. They're not quite so awesome. The kids fold them up and kind of trash them. So the first time, Cypress is 2 years old. She had just turned 2, and we go to the farmer's market in Oro Valley, Arizona. That's where my mom lives, Oro Valley. And oro is Spanish for gold. So we got goldbacks that day, and I didn't have any silver tenths, but I had some silver ounces. So basically I told Cypress she can get anything she wanted if she could convince the people to take a goldback at 2 years old. And she's like, I got gold. This is gold. I want your ice cream. I got gold. I want your, somebody had green peppers or something she wanted. My kids love green and red peppers. So that was how it first happened. And then with the silver tenths and the silver bits. And so if you look on LocalSilverMint, you'll see there's those square silver bits. And so those were the first ones I had the kids trading with. At my local farmers market here in Henniker, I tell them you can get whatever you want if you can convince people to take silver in payment. Anything but, you can't get any candy. No candy, but anything else you want. And candy's a gateway drug, and it just causes a lot of problems. So we abstain from candy. So anyways, she's going there, cute little girl, 2, 3, 4. Now she's going to be 6 here next week. And she's a pro at, she understands all about silver. You watch the video of her trading her piggy bank in on Local Silvermint YouTube channel. It's pretty awesome. So we go to the farmers markets kind of anywhere we can, and I give the kids a couple of silver bits, both of them, and I send them to go buy stuff, and they trade with people in silver. And it goes kind of three different ways. You got the blue-haired girl with the nose septum ring, and she's just working for somebody selling whatever. She don't care. She's like, yeah, it's cash or card. Don't want to hear nothing about it. And that's like maybe 10% of the farmer's market. Then you got the people who are like, oh yeah, I'll take silver. That's cool. And then you got the people that are like, oh my God, this is so awesome that your kids are trading in silver. And it's usually like the Vietnamese guy or the Korean guy or a Ukrainian lady. It's these people who had been through some crap and they've seen some things. Most Americans are pretty spoiled. They've really never gone hungry. And they haven't really experienced an actual, wham, bam, hyperinflation currency collapse.
What real money is.
Right. But the Ukrainian lady, she had these Ukrainian pastries, and she'd been in the States for, I think, 20 years. She was pretty old. She maybe in her 70s. And she had a tear in her eye as she was like just so like gleeful and happy that I got my kids trading in silver. And this was last winter. We did this when we were out in Arizona and we visited you. And this was at the Oro Valley Farmers Market. And she was like, yeah, she goes, I live in Ukraine. And she goes, I've been here for 20 years, but she goes, I've lived through a couple of currency collapses. And the people who, basically didn't have like a valuable skill, or they didn't have precious metals, silver or gold, they were in really rough shape. And she had talked about an aunt of hers was able to like cut some silver necklace in half and sell half the silver necklace, and everybody in the family ate for like weeks off of that silver necklace, half a silver necklace. And she had told us that story. And basically, if it wasn't for silver, they potentially would have starved to death, or they would have been forced to like, go steal some food or steal something to eat. Would have possibly been the alternative. And so at Anarchapulco this year, so they have family camp. The family camp's pretty cool. So what I'm doing at family camp, this is 10 ounces of silver bits that I'm going to bring to family camp. And whatever there is there for kids, I'm going to divide it up between. So if there's 10 kids at family camp for my silver discussion, I'm doing Tuesday at 3 p.m. at Anarchapulco. Each kid gets an ounce. If there's 100 kids, each kid gets one bit. I don't know how many kids are going to be there, but I'm throwing 10 ounces into it. I paid that's my silver. I paid for it myself. And I'm going to do a discussion on basically encouraging and teaching our kids to use silver, to trade silver. And okay, Cash, and to save and stack silver. So just like with, we investing in Generation Next, just the fact that my daughter isn't even at 5 years old is so well versed in silver because she's been exercising it and using it. It's just like exercising and using Bitcoin, which I've, been doing basically since like 2013. And just, buddy, I'm talking. And I got really good at it. So it's really important to like teach kids financial responsibility during their brain development, this early brain development, which is they retain and learn the most things. So, and what I'm going to do at the family camp is I'm just going to give the examples of what I've been doing, how I've been doing it. And for the past 2 months, everybody's been paying me in silver for everything. So I go to a guy's farm and I work on his equipment. And he's like, wow, silver's $40 an ounce. It's at an all-time high. He's like, I'd like to just pay you in silver. I'm like, yep, I'll take it. And and even like when silver was $114 an ounce, I did a couple settlements at over $110. I got paid in silver. And, and I had turned some of it into cash, but it was back down around 80 by the time I turned it into cash. But, that's okay. The principle of exercising and using it is for me is more important than, making a profit off, when I turn it back into dollars to pay my electric bill or something. And we have, so I also, like, my ride to the airport that I'm going to take this weekend, the guy goes, I would like to get paid in silver. I bought grain for my pigs and cows in silver. In fact, Neil of Bardo Farm is buying grain off the same guy and paying him and is going to pay him now in silver. Because I convinced the guy to take silver, and he was and he's a fifth generation farmer. He makes some good, clean grain products. He doesn't use the chemicals and stuff on it. He's local. I've also local steel place, Cohen Steel here in Concord, New Hampshire. I've been paying them in silver, and we've just been calculating it right at the spot price. There's local rental places taking silver. In fact, I don't know if it's on the website here. I don't see it, but there is supposed to be a list somewhere on LocalSilverMint.com of local vendors that take silver. There's 2 restaurants. One of them is called Roby's, that's in Hooksett, New Hampshire. They're a farm-to-table restaurant. You can buy their meat, and you can get served. We go get food there couple times a month and pay in silver. Bardo Farm, you can pay them in silver. And even the local gas station, they're not really doing it for everybody, but I have the gas station right down the road from my house. I've paid them guys in silver several times for diesel fuel and things like that. And it's the people who own it. They're just putting the silver in their pocket, and they take the dollars and they put it in the cash. Actually, the guy puts the silver in his pocket and he takes his card out of his pocket, and he swipes it in the machine and just pays for it. He's like, I just made a silver trade at spot. I love it. So there is a farmer's market or a free stater type agorist market every single weekend now, basically within like a half an hour of Concord, New Hampshire. There's one in Manchester. There's one in Concord. There's another one. In fact, the one in Manchester and Concord, between those 2 cities, there's a farmer's market every weekend. And then there's another couple farmer's markets, one in the North Country, one over by Keene. They're like once a month. And they all accept silver. And what's really nice about the silver bits is somebody can pay you, especially now with $80 silver, you want to buy $40 worth of stuff, you give them an ounce of silver and you can get 6 silver bits back. Local Silver Mint has been doing a program to with some of these local vendors to give them essentially silver bits basically at spot, if they are only going to use it for change on silver exchanges, on silver trades, not for change. If somebody pays you dollars, you don't give them, change in the bits. And so Dave's done a lot of, sort of investing in the local silver economy here by making it so that the local silver vendors don't have to pay a premium on the silver bits if they're going to. Well,
this is one of the reasons why for the calculator. I want to show people this here. You just in the beginning we were the silver calculator, and we promoted it on our magazine and so on, and this was a silver calculator app. This was an application you put on your phone that you could, whatever kind of silver you had, junk silver, out silver, tet silver, silver, and it was for vendors that wanted to do it. They just didn't know what to charge. They didn't know what the equivalency was. So you just put in a dollar amount, and it would tell you, how many silver dimes, how many quarters, how much in bullion, whatever it was that you needed, and they would get a deal. Well, now if you go over to, you just search silver calculators, the internet's lousy with them now, They got all these different applications that go on your phone through whatever app store, doesn't matter. So this is happening now. And we blazed a trail as a community back in the day because we knew this was coming. You know, and that's kind of my presentation that I'm going to be doing at Anarchapulco. I go, what if you knew? What if you knew? What if you knew they were never going to stop spending? What if you knew they were never going to reduce the debt? What if you knew they were lying sacks of snot? What if you knew they were evil? What if you knew there was going to be war, whether we needed to or not? War is health of the state. What if you knew? What if you knew? What if you knew? What would you do? What would you do? You'd stack silver. That's what you do. Just say it.
Yeah, the farmer that I buy grain from, he goes, give me an education on silver. I really don't know anything about silver. And Cash, just I'll talk to you about the spider in a little bit. I got to finish off with Ernie because he's got to go pretty soon. So, anyways, Andy's the guy's name. He's like, give me an education on silver, and I just gave him a couple of silver bits for his kids when I first met him. Like, got any silver? Your kids got any silver? He's got 3 kids. I gave him 3 silver bits. So now they start them stacking. So, and I keep on bugging him. Hey, I'd like to pay you in silver. I'd like to pay you in silver. And he's like, wow, silver's $100 an ounce. And you told me about it. It was like $32 an ounce. And I'm like, yep. And so he goes, how do you know that silver is going to maintain its value? How do you know it's going to go up in value? I says, well, the way I look at it is silver doesn't really change in value. What happens is the fiat dollars that we're basing silver on keep on devaluing and devaluing. And what I do know is that the Federal Reserve's intentions and their goal, their monetary policy, is to have inflation at 2%. And when they talk about inflation at 2%, they're talking about basically government inflation metrics which aren't realistic because they don't include things like the price of fuel, the price of housing, healthcare, education. There's a whole bunch of metrics that they've removed from sort of the inflation, calculation, to where if you did it back in the 70s, what inflation was the metrics it was based on. There's a whole lot more factors, so they've renewed. But when the government says we're going to screw the American people, or the Federal Reserve says we're going to screw the American people 2% per year on their wealth, that's 2% every year. So that basically
builds up,
means, in 20 years, that's 40%. So if we want to back up 20 years ago and look at how much house would silver buy 20 years ago, how much healthcare would silver buy 20 years ago, and then things like computers and phones, and even like gasoline and diesel fuel fuel is really the cheapest it's been in history compared to silver right now, and even compared to dollars, it's pretty inexpensive because the technology to transport and refine and deal with fuel has just gotten really, really good. For example, so he's like, so he goes, what do you this 2% inflation? He goes, where'd you hear that from? I go, you got Jerome Powell and all these Fed chairs. They always say their goal is 2% inflation, and it always farly and greatly exceeds 2% inflation, depending on what you look at it. So I know that it's going to at least protect me from the 2% inflation that they're going to force upon everyone holding dollars. Now, I've done pretty good because I have been paranoid of dollars quite literally for 20 years. I have often put like pretty much all the money that I possibly could into, silver, gold, crypto, land, cattle, whatever
stuff,
just so it's not in dollars. I got, 50-pound bags of salt. I got 50-pound bags of beans and rice, because it's better than having it sit in dollars. I got ready-to-eat meals in boxes and stuff because it's better than dollars. And so the thing is yes. And then teaching the kids about this lifestyle that, our savings is in silver. And by bringing them to these places and having them trade exclusively in silver, like the farmers markets and the free stater markets, my kids just, they know that like silver's real money. And it's pretty funny that they'll actually tell people that paper is just currency. Cyprus is really good at this. Paper is currency. It's just paper. Silver's real money. And a little bit, and just real quick thing. One thing on my homeschool co-op, I haven't really updated everybody in a while, because you and I haven't done a podcast in a long time, actually. And so this past year, we raised 3 pigs here at the farm. The year before, we did 6 pigs. We had sows, and then we had a dozen piglets. I sold a couple piglets, and we ended up with 6 pigs at the end. And we butchered them all here at home with the homeschool co-op. In fact, I think I sent you the video of Cypress. She skinned a hide. I got it started, and she did about, 50% of skinning the hide on a pig.
And she got an anatomy lesson with the heart.
Right. We took the heart out of the pig, put it on a table, and Shallon went through all the stuff about the heart, and then Cypress took the heart and cut it all up into pieces to check it out. We also raised, so I bought a couple hundred.
That's a heck of a lot more than dissecting a frog. I mean,
Yeah. And all the pig organs are very similar to human organs too. So it really gives you a good, sort of overall anatomy for humans too. And then this year we bought 150-ish some odd meat birds, the day old chicks. And then we distributed a whole bunch of them to neighbors and families. A lot of people took like 25 birds. I think we bought 200, and I ended up raising about 100, or just shy of 100. And then we had, and then people took them home. Hey, quiet, buddy. And then a lot of people took these chickens home. Hey, quiet. I'm talking to Ernie. A lot of people took these chickens home and raised them all up, and then brought them back, and we butchered them with the homeschool co-op and the mom. So we butchered like 250 chickens because other friends of ours brought their chickens over that they bought. Hey, stop that. I'm trying to talk. So
Cash, be good, buddy. I see you.
So we ended up butchering like 250 meat birds this summer. Yeah. And Cash, he was cutting chickens and pulling guts, and Cypress is really good at gutting chickens. And you were too. Yep, you were gutting chickens. And it's a beautiful thing when you see these moms and their families, just processing chickens, and they learn everything from. And my presentation at Anarchapulco last year was, why you should raise your family on a farm, basically. The kids learned everything from, the piglets being born right here. That's noisy, buddy. From the piglets being born, to feeding them, to dealing with them. Don't touch that. To dealing with them, right to putting the pork chop in the vacuum seal bag. The kids and the families participated in the whole process. And this year, I think we kept 1 pig here in the freezer, and the other 4 halves of pigs, they were our families that come to co-op took the pigs home. And next year, I'm looking to. So I have a really nice chicken processing trailer. It's all portable. I can set it up in about an hour anywhere. It takes like an hour and a half to break it down and clean it if I got someone helping me. And I'm trying to encourage families to do the Joel Salatin style chicken tractor, which is a 20 by 20 chicken tractor, and you can raise 75 meat birds. And the coolest thing, don't touch that. The coolest thing about these meat birds, it's a 6 to 10 week commitment. So you can feed them really. Yep, you can
Cash,
feed them really hard.
You're not being good, buddy.
Yeah, I'm trying to talk. You can feed the chickens really hard, and you can butcher them in 6 weeks. Or, you can feed them not quite so hard like I did, and I free range them. It was like 12. We did ours at 12 weeks, and we had like, 6 pound, whole chickens. And but I fed them very clean and free ranged them a lot. And up here in New Hampshire, oh, you don't have to be mad at Ernie Hancock because he said you weren't being good. He just wants you to be quiet. So we ended up
What a face.
we ended up doing a bunch of these chickens. And so next year I'd love to get families to build their own chicken tractor. It's real easy. And to and you can raise three rounds of chickens here in the summer pretty comfortably. And then I actually have a friend, she's an older woman, and she raises her birds right in a couple of stalls. And she does like 10 at a time, and she butchers them all herself. Does all the work. She plucks them by hand. She's got 10 chickens right now in one of her stalls, and she does like 4 or 5 rounds a year and just raises them in a stall for 6 or 8 weeks. And it's, it's pretty easy.
I just want to make sure, Jay explains, that you guys see they're not going to starve. The community's not going to starve. What do I always say? It's always about not being too hungry, not being too thirsty, not being too cold, not being too hot, having shelter, get your kids out of the government indoctrination camps, that's for sure, and being more self-sufficient. Jay is the example for this in his community, and other people start to take it on. They pass it on. An entire generation, that's why I always say it's Generation X, Generation Y, Generation whatever alphabet soup they got. It's Generation Next. It's always Generation Next. What are they learning? What are they getting as an example of how it's like you watch The Waltons. It used to be in the 70s. There was a show about a family living on a farm in the Depression. And they were going, poverty, what's that? I mean, we always got something to eat. We got a place to stay. We got family. We got chores to do. We got and got and got. You don't notice it. But the people, the leaders of the family, the men generally, is, that understand how to make sure that their family thrives in this and that they can in the future. Jay is an excellent example of that. And I wanted to share this with you and this silver opportunity, but you need to understand the overall mindset and the focus on continuation of freedom, liberty, the family unit, being an add to your community, of which Jay is. All my best friends are Jay, Bob, Jay, Derek, we're all the same mindset. We each have our own, forte and contacts and stuff. But it's just a taste. It's a beginning of the understanding of why we are so secure and what is important to us. Freedom, the options. That's all freedom really is. They go, what's money? It's just more options, more freedom. But what kind of money? The man's money? So this is just a good example that we wanted to give you a taste, reintroduce Jay and his family. And Cash, yeah, we see you, Cash. We know you're there, man. You've been entertaining, but one of these days, and that shirt, that's one of our shirts, from promoting the man camp, and we had, Jay runs the man camp. And we have Captain Mark there and the Freedom's Phoenix and, Pirates Without Borders and, Pork Fest. So we've been doing this a long time. Got a bunch of T-shirts.
Speaking of Pork Fest, we should let your audience know that. So Free State Project hasn't announced a date for Pork Fest yet. And from what I can tell, they don't really have nobody knows. They don't have a location. It's not going to happen at Rogers. But at Rogers Campground from June 26th to June 28th is going to be Fork Fest. So it'll basically be like Pork Fest, just very informal. And I will be setting up the man camp there. We will be blacksmithing. A lot of the Pork Fest regulars are going to be there. And there's just a few simple rules that Crosby, the owner of Rogers Wants, and it's no nudity. And he really wants you to pay to $5 if you're not camping and you're just showing up. You're going to pay your $5 to be there. Oh, you don't have to do that, buddy. And basically, it's just going to be like business as usual. And if you want your campsite at Fork Fest, you call Rogers Campground Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, and just get your campsite.
Cash has reached his shelf life.
Yeah, we gotta. They told me breakfast was ready a little while ago, but hey, buddy. But anyways, Ernie, I gotta sign off here. I want to let everyone know that Fork Fest is basically going to replace Pork Fest this year, and I'm hoping to see a lot of folks there.
Hey, thanks for coming on. It's good to see you, Cash. Even though you're being Cash, it's just the way we have. They have a Casacious and Cypress video stream that a bunch of us are on, that Jay does. Just the life of the kids there on the farm and what they're doing and so on. It's very entertaining for all of us that know the kids and them doing all their kid stuff out in the woods and with their making different vehicles and ATVing and so on and sledding, and you have Jay as a dad teaching you every freaking thing like he was raised. His father and his brothers, they made sure that there's Casacious. Cypress. Cypress, come say hey. Oh, you got your dress on? Cypress, I can't see you. Come over and say hey before we go. Oh, you a princess? You got your princess stuff on? Yeah. It's good to see the kids and you guys having fun. All right, Jay, thanks for coming on, man. It was good getting us caught up and kind of see how people live. Hello. How people live in a freedom community. And silver is a big part of it. No, crypto has been a part of it. But I'm leaning more towards the silver thing. And these kids know from the earliest memories how it really works, and they won't starve. All right, say goodbye. Bye, kids.
Bye. Love you, Ernie.
Love you, kids. Bye. Thanks, Jay. See you down in Mexico, buddy.